In the pantheon of American cinema, there exists a singular force of nature, a man who has given us both Oscar-worthy performances and scenes so bizarre they've become internet folklore. Ladies and gentlemen, we present Nicolas Kim Coppola. You know him better as Nicolas Cage. Born in 1964, Cage made a decision early in his career that would define his entire existence. He would never, under any circumstances, phone it in. Whether the script called for subtle emotional nuance or screaming about bees, Cage would approach it with the same unwavering commitment that lesser mortals reserve for matters of life and death. This is the story of a man who changed his last name to avoid nepotism accusations, his uncle being Francis Ford Coppola, then proceeded to create a body of work so uniquely unhinged that nepotism became the least interesting thing about him. Cage's early career suggested a promising character actor with an unusual intensity. In Raising Arizona, he perfected what scholars would later term the Cage stare, a look that simultaneously conveyed deep thought and complete mental vacancy. Then came 1995's Leaving Las Vegas, where Cage played an alcoholic screenwriter drinking himself to death in Las Vegas. Critics called it a tour de force. Cage called it Tuesday. The Academy Award validated what many suspected. Cage wasn't just committed to his craft, he was married to it, in a ceremony performed by a Vegas Elvis impersonator at 3 a.m. The late 90s witnessed Cage's transformation into an unlikely action star. In The Rock, he played a chemical weapons specialist who somehow knew more about military tactics than actual military personnel. In Con Air, he was a decorated Army Ranger with the flowing locks of a Renaissance angel and the accent of someone who learned English exclusively from country music. But it was Face Off that truly showcased Cage's commitment to the impossible. The film's premise, two men surgically swap faces, required an actor willing to play both himself and John Travolta playing him. Lesser actors might have questioned the logic. Cage questioned nothing and delivered everything. By the mid-2000s, a perfect storm was brewing. Cage's expensive lifestyle, which included a pyramid tomb, multiple castles, and a collection of shrunken heads, collided with significant tax debt. The solution? Make every movie ever offered to him. This period, which film historians call the Great Caging, produced some of cinema's most bewildering moments. In The Wicker Man, Cage punched a woman while dressed as a bear. In Vampire's Kiss, he ate a cockroach and screamed the alphabet. These weren't artistic choices, they were spiritual callings. The internet naturally lost its collective mind. While other actors feared typecasting, Cage achieved something rarer: meme transcendence. His facial expressions became the universal language of disbelief, confusion, and barely contained hysteria. The same intensity that made him an Academy Award winner was now being channeled through capital letters and exclamation points across social media. Then, something unexpected happened. Around 2018, critics began using words like brilliant and career best to describe Cage's performances. In Mandy, he fought demonic bikers while covered in blood and wielding a chainsaw. In Pig, he searched for his stolen truffle pig with the quiet desperation of King Lear. Critics who had spent years laughing at Nicolas Cage suddenly realized they might have been witnessing something else entirely: a performance artist conducting the world's longest experiment in cinematic commitment. The same man who once screamed about bees delivered one of the decade's most nuanced performances about loss, grief, and the simple love between a man and his pig. Cage calls his acting technique Nouveau Shamanic. This involves channeling what he terms Western kabuki and something called mega acting. If this sounds like the ramblings of someone who spent too much time in character, you're beginning to understand the point. He's described drawing inspiration from his pet cobra, ancient Egyptian death masks, and his own dreams. Cage has essentially created his own school of acting. It's like method acting, but the method is controlled insanity. Most actors study Stanislavski. Cage studies the universe and finds it wanting in dramatic intensity. Cage's financial troubles weren't just from poor investments, they were from magnificent obsessions. He outbid Leonardo DiCaprio for a Tyrannosaurus skull and owned multiple homes he never visited. When you're Nicolas Cage, ordinary rich person purchases simply won't do. So, what is the legacy of Nicolas Cage? Is he a serious actor who occasionally loses his mind, or a madman who occasionally remembers he can act? The answer, like most things involving Cage, defies simple categorization. He's made over 100 films, won an Oscar, inspired countless memes, and created a body of work that exists in its own universe where logic is optional, but commitment is mandatory. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about Nicolas Cage isn't his intensity or his eccentricity. It's his complete authenticity. In an industry built on artifice, he's remained stubbornly, sometimes catastrophically, himself. But what about you? What's your favorite Nicolas Cage performance? Is it an Oscar-worthy drama, a beautifully unhinged action spectacle, or perhaps one of his more obscure films that deserved far more attention than it received? Let us know in the comments below.